All right, welcome everyone to this class on Pirke Avos, Ethics of Our Fathers. Again, I want to welcome everyone to this class on Pirke Avos, Ethics of Our Fathers. And I do apologize at the outset. Still looking for my voice. Hopefully, my voice will carry over, at least when I find it. And it shouldn't be a problem. But in either case, we'll see where everything goes. So the Mishna says, we've been speaking about the last few weeks. They each said three things. Rabbi Lezer said, again, this is Pirke Avos, Ethics of Our Fathers, chapter 2, Mishnah 15, part 12. So Rabbi Lezer says, let your fellow's honor be as dear to you as your own. Do not anger easily, right? And that's what really we've been speaking about quite a bit, and that is about anger, right? About not getting angry. So here the Mishnah, the idea is also that we shouldn't be like fools who have anger that's lingering. Yeah, they have anger lingering in their bosom. Since they were consumed by it, they can't control it. Now, even something that doesn't necessarily require anger, right? A fool gets angry and allows them to be destroyed, right? They carry it within. All right, we're going to flesh this out in a second. But they carry it within, just like the snake that has poison in his teeth, right? According to some of the rabbis, when he bites, the venom comes out, right? Venom comes out automatically, and the snake, doesn't have to do anything. Why? Because when the snake bites, according to this opinion, the venom goes out. And what happens when the venom goes out? Right, the venom goes out automatically; it doesn't do anything. So therefore, whatever it attacks is in trouble, because essentially the venom will kill them. Right? So let's go back here. There's a lot to be said about this statement. First of all, don't be like the fool who has anger lingering inside, because the fool is consumed by it, cannot control it. Now, we mentioned a number of times, we're not gonna go through it again. Just want to mention it in passing, and that is, what does the Mishnah here say? The Mishnah says, do not anger easily. What does the Mishnah not say? The Mishnah itself does not say, do not get angry. Right? Very simple inference. Very simple inference over here. In other words, why does the Mishnah not say that? Because how is it possible not to get angry? Everybody gets angry, some level. Yeah? So the Mishnah in the Torah itself is not going to put a person in a situation they can't handle. That's impossible for them to handle. In other words, the Torah's not going to say, don't do this. It's impossible, because you're only going to fail. Right? It's only a question, of how much damage control you can do. Right? But at the end of the day, now we may be in position, we may speak about this a little bit, but we may be in a position that we think is impossible. We think is impossible to handle. Now, obviously, we're in that position for a number of reasons. Either it could be a test, it could be God testing us, it could be something we did ourselves, right? A lot of times there's a Ramban, I think that there's a Ramban, Nachmanides commentary on the book of Job, and when his friends come in, try and cheer him up or chastise him or whatever, So they say he must have done something. He must have done something over here to cause all the pain you're going through. Some say, well, it's your bad luck. That's the way the constellations were set up when you were born, right? There's this, I spoke about this last week. There's spiritual influence by the stars, by the moon, by planets. They can have influence in the world. We don't necessarily see it per se. It's not like someone should really study astrology anyway, right? That's, not something we study per se, because whatever, a lot of reasons, a number of reasons. One of them is we're not supposed to look towards the future. Now, if a person really knows how to read the stars, you see it by Abraham, you see it by others, right? Abraham says, I look at the stars, I see that I'm not going to have children. It's impossible for me to have children, right? So God tells them, look outside, look at the stars. Your progeny going to be, multiplied by infinity compared to the world. Now you see the Jews are only 15.5 million people, right? Give or take. So it's kind of a hard statement to understand. So either you can say there's been a lot of assimilation and intermarriage, and a lot of people have been killed, right, in pogroms. But even if we are a very small nation, let's say at least many years ago, the statistic was that we are 1/1000th of the world's population. Yeah, 1/1000th of the world's population. Now, how is it possible to explain that the Jews exponentially, give more charity than anybody, but even more, they've won more Nobel Prizes than anyone, right? Whether in physics, whether in math, whatever it is. If we're 1/1000th of the world's population, right, that means we're significant wherever we go. So the Haggadah of Passover, when, it goes through all these, explanations of different verses of a verse, saying that we're enslaved and what that means and, different things. One explanation over there, the God says explicitly that we were significant in Egypt. What do you mean significant? They were enslaved, right? Essentially, they were enslaved, right? But it means that they stood out. Even though they were enslaved, they stood out. So we stand out for better or for worse, everywhere we are, right? Wherever we are in the world. The Jews come in, they're successful in business, successful in other things. Right? I always say you put Jews all over the world, the Jews are successful wherever they go. You put them in one country like Israel, disaster. Why is it a disaster? 50 years of hyperinflation or other things, going on 30 years ago more. I'm not just talking about the fact that, the survival, against our enemies, and nothing to do with that. It's just, it's been disaster in many, many ways. Financially, up to, recent time, Israel's been disaster. Been very hard to survive here, right? So people would say, the joke is, how do you make $2 million in Israel? You bring $1 million. You bring $1 million with you because, taxes, why does the tax authority jump on people all the time? Because they know people are hiding money because taxes so high. They know you're hiding money, right? They're going to say, because how are you going to survive if they take 30% or more, right? They're going to say, obviously people have to be hiding money somewhere, right? Otherwise, it's not the reason to make money here in general. But, aside from that, Jews have been distinguished wherever they go. Now that's exponential according to, any other ethnic group. We'll look at it a different way. I'm not going to necessarily get into politics, but the UN, they don't even think, whatever the head of the UN said last week, whatever happened in Gaza is because of us. We caused it. We caused these barbarians to do what they did. We caused it. Oh, we enslaved them? What do we do? Right? What do we do over here? But the UN, the Holy UN, has condemned Israel exponentially more than any other nation combined. Which is mind-boggling. Because this is the only democracy in the Middle East. It's the only friend America has in the Middle East that they can trust. Right? Nothing talkable. But at the end of the day, didn't I say I wasn't getting into politics? At the end of the day, what do? They condemn Israel more than anyone else. More than anyone else. More than Iran. More than Somalia. More than, Libya. More than China. More than all these places. All these places. Right? It's a mind-boggling idea. Why that should be. But bottom line is that the Jews, we distinguish ourselves everywhere else. I'm not necessarily it's necessarily a good thing. Right? But at the end of the day, exponentially, we're off the charts of many things. Many, many things. Now, based on that, let's get back to what we said before. And that is, don't be like the fool with anger lingering inside. Because they're consumed by it, they cannot control it. Now, any psychologist, and I'm not a psychologist by any stretch, I didn't even play one on TV, right? But I'll tell you what the bottom line is. Any psychologist will probably tell you, person's got anger inside. Why do you let someone get in your head so much? Get it out. Scream it out. Exercise it out, rationalize it, whatever. You got to get the anger out. Why do you have to get the anger out? Why is it so crucial to get the anger out? Says over here, because you're going to be consumed. Anger will consume you. Now, that being said, there are people that cannot let things go. Now, it depends what's been done. See, the Torah says also, you're not allowed, the book of Leviticus chapter 19, right? A lot of ethical things there. The Torah says clear, you're not allowed to bear a grudge. You're not allowed to take revenge, right? So we won't discuss revenge. We'll talk about bearing a grudge. People might have done things to us. And a person may say, right? Someone did this. They deserve my wrath. They deserve me never to speak to them. Now, let's say it's true. Let's say they did something. I'm not even going to say it's so egregious. But they did something. It just got you so angry. They didn't apologize. They didn't seem to care. A lot of other things. But bottom line over here is that whatever they did, it bothered us. But you're not allowing them, even if they would, you're not allowing them, even if they came back on their hands and knees to beg for forgiveness, you won't allow them. You'll be stubborn. Right? I'm not saying everybody, but why would a person be stubborn? They're angry. They're angry for what the person did, for what they caused them. Now, again, I'm not saying major things here, but what? A person got angry. Got angry. So I'll give an example. Right? I know somebody had a franchise, a Jew, had a franchise of an non-kosher restaurant. That franchise was doing very well. Doing exceedingly well. The person got advice. What was the advice? Open up another franchise. You're doing well with this. Who says you're not going to do well with that? Obviously, you got to do your research. You got to see where it is. People are going to come. Whatever. You got to do your market research. So, did the research. Look good. Okay. So they open up another franchise. Now, what happens on the franchise? Another franchise struggled. Struggled a lot. I don't know where the mistake was, but it struggled. But it struggled to the point where it took down the other franchise also. I mean, the other franchise was making so much money. You got to put money into the other thing, the whole thing goes. Right? Potentially. Unless you have a ton of money to put in it, see what's going to be. So what ended up happening? Second franchise went under. Took the first one with it. had to declare bankruptcy, lost it. Yeah. To this day, this person is still rip-roaring mad. Why they're rip-roaring mad? They're rip-roaring mad because they got bad advice. Same way they got bad advice. Yeah, but that's not the only reason. Where was family? I'm not saying family had money to bail them out, whatever. Where was empathy? Family showed no empathy. You know, it's like, it reminds me once I was in New York and I was running for the train. This is when they had tokens, so it's probably totally changed by now. Anyway, I had to get somewhere. I jammed my token in the thing, right? And it jammed. So I'm going like 100 miles an hour. It jammed because I saw the train coming. And I went flying like 20 feet, 30 feet. Yeah. Now, this is only probably New York, not, necessarily other places. I went flying about 20, 30 feet. Someone looked over, looked down, and said, wow, that was like must have hurt, and kept walking. Yeah. So maybe it's only New York. I don't know. Maybe other places, someone helped me up. I don't know. Whatever. Many, many years ago. Where's the empathy? So the person's got a very good claim. Very, very good claim. Nobody empathized. I said, wow, it must be so hard for you. Nobody empathized. Yeah, what the person feel like? Like nobody cared. It was like, okay, pass it. Oh, really? That happened? Pass this on. Can I have another piece of pizza? You're going to say everybody's so shallow? I'm not going to say that. This person to this day, for most of their family, has nothing to do with it. Why? Probably one of the reasons. Now, let's say the person's right. They got hit in the teeth. They got knocked over. Right? They got flattened like a pancake. And what happened? Someone standing over them saying, wow, that must be hard. You must be hurt. They keep walking. Now, does that person have a right to be angry? Right? We're going to analyze it a few different ways. Right? Does this person have a right to be angry? Most people would say yes. Why would most people say yes? Because that's a very hard situation to go through. Not saying they were wealthy by any stretch, but they were doing well. And then they lose everything. It's kind of hard. Right? That's kind of hard. If you did it to yourself, right, in this case, even though you got bad advice, you don't have anyone to blame but yourself. Right? It's worse, I would say, as something like happened to me. So I had all my money stolen. It wasn't my choice. I didn't do it myself. I didn't put it in a business that went under. That'd be worse. Why? Because you did it to yourself. Right? So explain, so we'll go through that. Someone asked, how do you get out of the problems you caused by yourself? Okay, we'll discuss that. But the point is, person got bad advice. Seemingly got bad advice. And nobody was there to pick up the pieces. No one was there to show empathy. If you got to pick up the pieces, show empathy. So the $1 million question is, does the person have a right to be upset? At face value, everyone would say, yes. He's got a right to be upset. Nobody's there. It's like a flat, like a pancake is on his back, right? Or she's on her back. And everyone just keeps walking by. It's like, wow. Yeah. I wonder how long they're going to stay there for. On the ground. Person can be rip-roaring mad. Right? Face value, I would agree. Now, even if that's true, even if we say that's true, we're going to look at the bigger picture. We're going to look at the bigger picture in a second. But let's say this is 25 years ago. Right? Let's say it's 25 years ago. And the person still bears the grudge for most of their family, let's say. Yeah? They still bear the grudge. Now, what do we say over here? We're going to make this real practical. Don't be like the fools got anger lingering in their insides in their bosom because they're consumed by it and cannot control it. Right? It consumes them. So any logic, and that's why you never speak to someone when they're angry, because they can't hear anything. You have to wait till they calm down. But any logic you're going to ask you're going to give over. Try and comfort the person. What's their answer going to be? They're holding a grudge. And they want to hold the grudge. Okay, it's their choice. Even though we see over here, a person is considered a fool for doing so. Again, are we denying that the person does not have a right to be angry? No. They absolutely have a right to be angry. Right? We're giving them the benefit of the doubt. They have a right to be angry. Okay. The problem is, like this. Problem is, 25 years later, get over it. Anyone would tell you you're still angry. Go see a psychologist. Go speak it out with someone. Right? Don't let the anger, sitter inside. Don't let it burn inside. Why? Why give these people, the ability to be in your head? Obviously, some people are very shallow. They only care about themselves. And when someone's down, they don't have the ability to empathize. Right? They don't have the ability to empathize. Now, Kaufman always says, what's the bigger picture here? Now, the person's not an Orthodox Jew by any stretch, but what's the bigger picture? God hit this person right in the pocket. See, things happen in the world, certainly for the sake of the Jewish people to wake us up. Right? This war hopefully should have waken up a lot of Jews. But, other things in the world that don't necessarily happen to us, happen to others. Tragedies, other things, also supposed to wake us up to want to repent. Now, what if that doesn't work? What if God put something in the world, some, quote unquote, natural disaster, doesn't wake people up? Right? Or doesn't wake up specific people, whatever it is. So what happens next? God says, I'm going to hit you in the pocket. He says, I'm going to make you lose money. Maybe not all of it. I'll make you lose money. Fridge will go. Problem with your car. Maybe other things. You lose money. That should also wake you up. Because the person's going to ask, why is this happening? Why do I have to go through this? Right? Why do I have to go through this? Yeah. So what's the bottom line here? What's the bottom line? Let's say we'll never figure it out, measure for measure, right? What the measure for measure is, that God is punishing a person. But if that doesn't work and wake a person up, what does God do? He hits you in the body. He hits you in the body. And then when you can't function, you flatten your back and you're in pain, or like you got a very high fever, you're like almost delirious, different things. You can't pray, you can't do anything. You gotta take medicine, antibiotics, whatever it is. Get rid of this thing. That's the worst case scenario. So he asked me the $1.5 million question. We just upped the ante. And that is, why doesn't God hit a person in the body first? Let him hit him in the body first. Why waste time over here? Hit him in the body, the person will get the message. Doesn't God have mercy? We understand God has mercy. I'm not going to say it's infinite mercy, but he's got mercy. But God wants to give you an opportunity to repent without that. Now, I mentioned before, if we're thinking in Torah mitzvahs, what's the message here? Person now got bad advice, right? Let's say, got bad advice. Because of the bad advice, they lose everything. Okay. What's that person thinking now? If he's an Orthodox Jew, they should be thinking, I didn't deserve this money in the first place. Forget about, okay, it's a non-kosher franchise. Okay, you can say, maybe that's the reason. Maybe. Right? Maybe that is. Because the Jew's not allowed to own something treif. They can't do business with treif food, with non-kosher food. Could that have been direct punishment? Could be. Person doesn't care. Right? This person doesn't care. Torah, mitzvahs, kashrus. Yeah. So it gets built up. right? Franchise, first store is doing very well, then bam, God takes him out. That's what God does. When he wants to nail someone really well, he builds them, then cuts the legs right under him. Makes it more painful. Because everything is on top of the world. I don't need God, I don't need anything. Everything's going great. Bam. Bam. Overnight. Happens all the time. All the time. Professional sports, it happens. Other things, it happens. You don't think, either they're not going to get caught. No one's going to see it. Whatever it is. Now, what's the Torah perspective here? This person got hit seriously in the pocket. Now, based on that, we could spin it almost in a positive way and say, listen, God could have taken this life or the life of his kids. Could have made it a lot worse. Right? Could have made it 10 times worse if he wanted to. We don't ask for it. So the person only got hit in the pocket. That's still pretty severe. So a positive spin is, well, it could have been a lot worse. Yeah, it could have been. I mean, it's pretty bad. Right? But at the end of the day, if we believe things happen for a reason, we have to understand, we're not in control. As much as we think, I control this, I control that, I control the other thing, right? Famous story about the doctor. He says, I'm in control. Forget about God, forget about this, right? He goes to give a presentation in front of 300 people. In the middle of the presentation, you know what they say? When you got to go, you got to go. He has to run out in the middle of the presentation. He has to go to the bathroom. So he made a realization, and not everyone will make the same realization. But this doctor made the realization that, you know what? I'm not even in control of a bowel movement. I can't even control my insides. Right? A person drinks a cup of tea, couple cups of tea. You have to go to the bathroom at some point. Can you pinpoint exactly what it's going to be? 20 minutes later? Half an hour later? An hour later? You got to say within a certain amount of time. Can you be more specific? No. We're not in control. Right? We're not in control. So if something like that happens, the mantra is, okay, it must happen for a reason. And it must happen because of what I've done. Or, let's say, miraculously, the person didn't do anything wrong. Right? We'll speak about what happens when people do it to themselves. But let's say it had nothing to do with you. It had to do with your soul. It had to do with being reincarnated. Right? Your soul came back for whatever reason. And your soul has to go through this. Could be. That very well could be. But at the end of the day, we're going to suffer for whatever it is. And we're going to take responsibility, which nobody wants to hear. Right? But you got to take responsibility. So the bigger picture is, this thing happened, it's unpleasant. It's extremely unpleasant. And what's the purpose of a test? Am I going to continue to go in God's way or not? That's the purpose of a test. Am I going to thank God for all the good I have? And forget about, whatever bad there is, whatever we see as bad. But at the end of the day, doesn't God take care of our needs? Essentially, we're not starving. We're not living on the streets. We may not own our own house or apartment or flat or whatever. We're not starving. So, let's say we don't have any medical issues or even minor ones. Could be a lot worse. So why don't we see the good? Why aren't we able to see the good even when things are hard? What simple answer? Because you get beaten down in life. That's the answer. You can't think outside that because this happened, that happened, the other thing happened. Right? All these things happen. True. 100% true. And God's not there backing you. He's not there, taking care of business, what he needs to do. You say, but, that's all about suffering. And if he's all good, how can a person suffer? The question is how to look at it. A person can lose their job, 10 other doors open. Right? Other doors open. Not all doors are closed. Right? So if that's true, you say, wow, this looks really bad. And it does. And how are you going to come out of it? Very good question. And you can't get unemployment, let's say. So what are you going to do? You're feeling pretty crummy right now. What am I going to do? How am I going to get out of this? God's there. And when the door is opened, let's put it like this. Person's on their knees, they have no idea what's going to be. Then all of a sudden, someone walks through the door. Someone you never expected, this, that, whatever it is. Person gets another job offer, or the job gets, their business gets stronger now. Whatever it is, God's going to say, okay, I just saved you out of nowhere. So where's the thanks? But you're going to say, I was just on my knees for a long time. Okay. What did God want from that? He wanted you to work hard and believe in Him. So even though there's also, in this case, person lost everything, well, he's going to blame everyone for not being empathetic. We'll get to this original case. Why is this person going to blame everyone else? So again, doesn't a person want to, at least feel people care about the situation? Yeah. But what if they're not capable? I heard this many years ago, and it's like a light bulb finally went off. You see people that are not empathetic. You can't necessarily teach empathy to people that are not empathetic. You can try. I'm not going to say it's impossible. You can definitely try, right? No question. And people have to learn to be empathetic. And there are some people out there that are not very empathetic. Right? Let's say. Some more, some less. So now, you go back to this person and say, listen, you went through a very difficult time. Agreed? Right? Everyone will agree. People that empathize. Okay? Also agreed. Well, let's analyze. Are some of these people, I'm not going to say everybody, are some of these people actually empathizable? Do they have the ability to empathize or not? So the answer is, depends on the person. Can a person, change? They can change. Do we have free will? We have free will. Even a person didn't grow up that way. What if you look at it a different way? What if you say these people, or some of them, in 10 lifetimes, they'll never be empathetic. They'll just never be empathetic. They're like someone who has, a 25 IQ. So someone who's got a 25 IQ, and I'll call them mentally challenged. If they slobber over me, they do other things, it's annoying, okay. But they're mentally challenged. They got, they got the IQ of a 5-year-old or less. Kind of annoying, some of the things they do, okay. They're not totally, excusable here. But if someone does something and they deserve to be in an insane asylum, or we look at them like they're mentally challenged, what am I going to say about them? You're going to say, but it's very painful. And what these people say, they could be family, could be parents, could be siblings, could be children, say terrible things. But they're mentally challenged. So, great rabbi once gave me advice many, many years ago. Wish I heard it 30 years ago, 35 years ago. That's how you have to look at people. These people are insane. Right? They're not holding by Torah mitzvahs. So if they're not holding by Torah mitzvahs, you see what the world is. You see exactly what the world is. Right? It's crazy. Now we're getting into politics and all these protests, hundreds of thousands of people. Yeah, and college campuses saying Hitler didn't finish the job. Rabid anti-Semites, pro-Hamas. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. These people are nuts. I don't think there's any question. They're nuts. Okay. You still have to be careful. You have to guard your life. Very true. What are you talking about then? What are normal, quote unquote, normal people? Doctors, lawyers, accountants, this one, that one. And they say idiotic things. They show over here they have no empathy, not one empathetic bone. So a person's going to say that's painful. It's painful. Okay. Torah said you can't bear a grudge. So now someone's going to say, I don't get it. Person's in pain. Person's in pain. They're causing him pain. By not doing anything, it's painful. Okay. Does that give you a right to bear a grudge? So someone's going to ask, so how could God put them in that situation? You're not allowed to bear a grudge. The Torah is not talking to the righteous, as we always say. The Torah is telling you this is your obligation as a Jew. Now, as a Jew wannabe, a JIT or a non-Jew who's going to stay in the hide, should also apply. It's not a good character trait to have. Maybe as a moral imperative, yes. Maybe it's not an obligation according to no-hide laws. Okay. But as a moral imperative, it's not good. Take revenge, bear a grudge. Again, it may not be part of the no-hide laws. Okay. So how does this help? How does this help bearing a grudge? It makes it worse. Makes it 10 times worse because it always festers. It's always inside. You can say, yeah, look what this person did. And look what they said. You're right. What they said and what they did wasn't right. What they said and what they did was not good. Okay. Even if that is true, am I going to hate them for life? I'm going to let it fester. I'm going to let them get in my head. God is using them, as we always say, like a stick. Right? Like a dog is hit by a stick. Who does the dog go after? The stick. Doesn't go after the person hitting the dog with the stick. Not that I'm recommending it. At the same time, regardless, these people that are not empathetic, right? They're getting this person to work on their anger. They're being used by the evil inclination as a stick. Yeah. But what's God showing the person? God showing the person, I'm in charge. I'm totally in charge over here. That's always the mantra. God is in charge, but at the same time, whatever's thrown our way, we have to work on. For good or, we don't want, to get angry. This could anger a lot of people. This is the thing that would normally anger a lot of people. Just total apathy, right? Total apathy, right? No one's coming to the aid in words. Forget about money. In words. Wow, it must be so hard for you. If you need to talk, I'm here for you. Nothing. Nothing. Isn't that annoying? Oh, yeah. Everyone can understand how annoying that can be. But the Torah says you're not allowed to bear a grudge. And to this day, the person still has a grudge. And the person is still angry. So the Torah says you're a fool. Do not let it sit inside. Right? That's what we said. Right? Do not be the fool who's got anger lingering inside. Because then you can't control. Now, okay, now let's look at the next step. The next step is if it lingers inside, what happens? You get angry. Leads to anger. That's what it leads to. You can't control it. Why can't you control it? What's the simple reason you can't control it? Because it's burning inside. You remember the day it happened, right? You remember exactly when it happened. This could be 20 years ago. This could be 15 years ago. This could be 5 years ago. It's still there right in front of your face. It's still burning. So what happens? You lose control. All that does is continue the chain of anger. That's what it does. It just continues the chain of anger. Is the person ever going to get out of it? Unless they really want to, they just keep feeding the anger. Right? Again, not to get into politics, this is exactly what Hamas does. This is exactly what, quote unquote, the Palestinian Authority does. They just get their people riled up in anger. What's the anger? Who's causing all the problems? We are. We're occupiers. Right? Jewish people are occupied. The Israelis are occupied. They deserve to die. Totally deserve to die. and they're indoctrinating people throughout the generations. So they're bringing them up and riling them up in their anger just to do what? To kill Jews. And that's the majority of them, no question. No question. That can't fight. You want quote unquote moderates. No such thing. No such thing. Don't let anyone tell you that. There's no such thing. They're nuts. They're fanatics. Total fanatics that got everything wrong. They don't know anything about Israeli history. They don't know anything about their own history. They make it up as they go along, and they're perpetuating the same lies, for years. And everyone sucks it up. And I said last week and 2 weeks ago, Israel's got everyone behind them until civilians start to die. And you see, things are changing. Even if the civilians didn't die from this, this thing they hit a hospital and only hit the parking lots. You know how many news organizations put that out there without checking the facts? It's unheard of. Because who's the one saying this? Hamas. You trust anything they say? You got all these great, news agencies. We'll put the top of the list, the BBC. Yeah. Didn't check out the facts. None of these people checked out the facts until they had to find, until facts really came out. Why is it by, Hamas said something, whatever. Oh, that must be fact. We're going to put it out there. Israel said something, they check it once, check it twice, check it 8 times. It's insane. Total double standard. Okay, I don't want to go there. But the point is, how do we see the world? Why doesn't the person to this day see that, okay, these people are not empathetic? Very good. They're not empathetic. They may never be empathetic in 10 lifetimes. They're never going to be taught it. They don't want it for whatever reason. Very bad character trait to have. Very, very bad character trait to have. Now, even if you're going to tell me it's all true, you're going to say it's painful. It's painful. Why do you have to go through it? Why in the world do they have to go through it? So the answer is, I don't know. It's a test. Essentially, it's a test. That's why they have to go through it. Might be a very hard test. And they might see parents and siblings and children drop the ball. Yeah, that's painful to see. But even if it's painful to see, and I understand these people are insane, right? So I mentioned something I mentioned over Shabbos. That and this will bring it more home, and then I'll deal with all these other questions. There's a medrash. It says that when Avram Avinu left, he's on his way, left Haran, on his way to Eretz Yisrael, to Eretz Canaan. So the medrash says, how could he leave his father? How could he leave his father? Also went with him. It's just, he got stuck. He couldn't go all the way to the land of Israel for different reasons. And he didn't want to go. Right? He didn't end up going. He died there. Right? So everyone asked, according to the medrash, why would he leave? What about keeping up vain? He did tshuva terach, his father. What about honoring his father and his mother? How could he leave them? They're so old. It looks really bad. What's the answer? Who told him to leave? Who told Avram Avinu to leave? Lech lecha me'artzecha, God says. I just gave the answer. God told him. One of the first trials. Lech lecha me'artzecha. You got to leave. You got to leave everything you know. You got to leave your homeland. Right? You got to leave your father's house. You got to leave all these things. Right? So everyone asks the question, but it's desecration of God's name. How can you do that? It's a desecration of God's name. Look what people are going to say. This great person, Avram, left, and he left his parents to die. Right? He left them in Haran. They were old. He didn't put them in a nursing home. They're old. He's like, okay, see, mom, dad's been a great life. I have to go to Israel. Bye. And he leaves. To everyone, and their mother's going to say, hey, this looks really bad. This is a desecration of God's name. What are you going to tell me? Well, what the Torah says. He was given a direct command by God. God told him, don't worry about it. You listen to me, don't worry about what anyone else is going to say. So I spoke Friday night. We had this whole discussion that even if I stick up for the Torah and people blaspheme against it, doesn't matter. That's not my problem. That's not lifting either lo titein mikshel. That's not putting a stumbling block in front of someone. Torah prohibition. They might say if they think, God's anti-pig and God's anti-non-Jews and God's anti-this and he's anti-that. They can say whatever they want. They can say whatever they want. And the laws are antiquated and how can God drown the whole world and all these questions. Very good. Do I care what people think? Should I really care what people think? We don't have to care what they think. My Rebbe would say, you don't like it, go eat kugel. Go eat kugel. You don't like it. This is what the Torah says. We're not moving 1 inch. We're not moving 1 inch from what the Torah says. That's it. Deal with it. You don't like it. Okay, so what? I have to care. Right? And this is really the point. I have to care what people think. I don't have to care what people think. People say, hey, well, got these parents, got these family members, and, whatever, and, I feel bad. I have to, go against them. I feel bad. I have to leave them. You don't have to feel bad. There's no mitzvah to feel bad over here. If they're evil, I don't have to feel bad. If they're not evil, I still don't have to feel bad. I have to feel guilty? Or do I have to feel guilty? Doesn't really matter. I have to do what the Torah says to the best of my ability. Problem is, the person grew up in the Western world, live and let live. You gotta be nice. You gotta have your mind open till your brains fall on the floor. Not true. Torah says what it says. You don't like it, you don't like it. So what? We gotta do what we need to do. Sometimes it's unpleasant. Okay. And there are people out there, I'm not saying you should fight for the sake of fighting. But there are people out there, they want to be told everything is good and I can do this and, live and let live. It's forbidden. There's things that are forbidden. That's it. I'm not going to say everything's black and white. But at the end of the day, what? I have to do to the best of my ability what God wants. That's what I have to do. That's it. I don't have to worry about anyone else. So in this case, this person can care less what other people think. This bothers them. This bothers them. So I would say, yeah, maybe it's painful. Who cares what they say? These people have a 25 IQ. They're mentally challenged. And if they're mentally challenged, I'm going to take one thing they say seriously. But, this happened, that. You're right. They can be totally, not have any empathy. They can totally show they don't care. Okay, so what am I supposed to do? Are they going to change anytime soon? No. Are they going to admit they've done anything wrong? No. So what am I getting upset about? Right? So a person will say, but it's hard. It's a big slap in the face. Yeah, it's a big slap in the face if you care what they say or you care what they do. Now, even if you do, remember, where are they coming from? Right? Where's the morality? What are they thinking? It's not from the Torah. I don't have to worry. I've heard people say, one of the 10 commandments, got to honor your parents. Yeah? But honoring your parents means I don't desecrate Shabbos if they tell me to desecrate the Sabbath. It's also one of the 10 commandments. People don't want to hear that either. But you have to respect and obey me. Okay. Up to a point. But if they tell you to desecrate the Torah, there's no mitzvah to listen. So the answer I would tell this person, won't listen, but the answer would be, these people are mentally challenged. They'll never learn. That's who they are. They're never going to change. Deal with it. They are mentally challenged. And anyone who's mentally challenged, I'm not going to take them seriously. Right? They're going to say something, maybe very painful. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go, bink. That's it. I'm going to knock it out. You know why I'm going to knock it out? Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right? We mentioned this many times. You got to put it into practice. You got to flex your emunah muscles over here. Your belief and faith in God. It doesn't matter. Because you have to realize where it all comes from. What it all stems from. And this is a big test. I'm not going to say the person didn't have a big test. It's a big test. It's a big test. And I can definitely say in my own life also, was tested with that in different ways. So what was the mantra getting through all that? People, again, I'm not saying people can't repent and people can't change. But if they don't change or whatever, this is the hand you dealt with. What are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? They're not going to change. They don't have it inside of them to understand. You're not going to convince them. Now, again, does that mean it's not painful? No. It can be painful. But if you look at them saying, you look at them like they're mentally challenged and they have like the IQ of a 5-year-old, I'm not going to worry about it. It's not going to be that important to me. Doesn't matter who they are. Does not matter. I don't care if it's a parent, child, a sibling, it doesn't matter. Right? That is the mantra. It's a test. It could be a hard test. It could be a very hard test. But at the end of the day, that's the way I would look at it. And that's how you get from A to B. That's how you get from A to B. That's how you deal with it. Right? Probably other ways to deal with it also, but that's one way. Deal with it. You're not going to bear a grudge. Why are you going to bear a grudge? That gets you out of the whole problem. Because why would you bear a grudge against someone who's mentally challenged? You would never. You wouldn't waste your time on it. You would not waste your time on it, period. Yeah, somebody asked, okay, first question, start dealing with these questions now. If I cause my own problems, see, this is the hard thing. This is a very hard thing because we ourselves, someone else did something, it's one thing. Then we can say, well, they did it. I didn't do it. So then you have to come on and say, okay, I deserved it through them and they're a messenger, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But what if you do it to yourself? It's like the example, a person building a sukkah. They're building a sukkah, right hammer, left thumb, bam. Right? They smack their thumb with the hammer. They're in a lot of pain. They can't blame anyone. No one else to blame. You did it yourself. So the simple answer I would say is we got to work hard, to try and be the best we can be in doing whatever we do. We have to realize as well that, we're all work in progress. We're not perfect. Nobody's perfect by any stretch. And again, it depends what the mistake is. If the mistake is something really egregious and it keeps happening, okay, you have to analyze why. What is the base of why this happens? A lot of times things happen when a person's overtired. When you're overtired, you don't function. Right? It's very hard to function. But even a person's not overtired, you say, well, I made this mistake and I was negligent. How do you stop being negligent? You got to pay attention. You got to keep your eye on the ball. Now, what if someone says, but I have ADHD, and I'm all over the place. So this could happen, that could happen. Okay, person's on medication, they're in therapy, different things, right? I'm not necessarily talking about that. But what does Judaism teach? Judaism teaches you got to be prepared. Like someone will say, it was Shabbos, and they're standing against the wall, they weren't paying attention, and boom, the light went on, or it went off. So how could I have done that? You weren't careful, right? So the answer would be, you got to learn the laws of Shabbos better. You got to be more in tune. So you're going to say, but I wasn't paying attention. That's not an excuse. You got to pay attention. You say that on the road, oh, I wasn't paying attention. Bam, you hit someone. Paying attention can be serious repercussions. Right? So yeah, first of all, you got to cut yourself a little bit of slack. Even if we do make mistakes. Even essentially we make mistakes. Which everybody does. If a person is a perfectionist, they strive for perfection, even any little mistake is going to be hard. It's going to be hard to deal with. So you got to say, okay, I'm a work in progress. I'm not perfect. Never claim to be perfect. But again, if it's something egregious or something really bad, you got to see what the source is. You got to get to the source. What triggered it? What's behind it? And you got to figure out how you're not going to do it. Because a lot of things we do that are bad, we can probably pinpoint why they happen before they happen. Right? Someone who's got anger issues, they're out of control. So you have to know what triggers the anger. So a person can say, a lot of things trigger it. Okay, write it down. This upsets me, that upsets me, the other thing upsets me. Write a whole list, what upsets you. And then think of the bigger picture. Is this something I should really get upset about? Is this something that's, it's worthwhile for me to get upset about? You got to think in the bigger picture, which a lot of people don't. They only see things, I made this mistake, I made that mistake. I was careless. So, we got to be careful. No matter where we are, no matter what we do, we got to be careful. Right? So someone will ask, so how do I do that? You got to be organized. How's the person get organized? I can speak for the next 2 hours. Anything we do, it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's spiritual or whether it's physical. I'll give an example. You're making a salad. You cut up a salad. You got to be careful. You don't want seeds in there. You got to make sure it's ripe and how you're going to prepare it. It also takes preparation. How am I going to do that? You learn. You have a tomato that's overripe. You're going to be careful when you get tomatoes. Make sure they're not so ripe. Right? These are warning signs. So just like when it comes to food preparation, you need this ingredient, you need that ingredient, you need the other ingredient. You got to prepare. Because what happens if you're lacking an ingredient? You got to go out and get it. But you're going to say, but it's not worth the time to get it, I won't make it. Okay, so you make it next week, or next time you go out, you go pick it up. Okay? You want ingredients that you want to make something, you got to go and get them. Right? I would think this is easy. And if you don't get it, you made a mistake, you forgot it, you bought the wrong thing. Okay, so you can't make it. But anything else, you got to write things down. You got to make a list. Right? That's what you got to do. That's our obligation, whatever we do. Life is all about preparation. Now, some people are more prepared. Some people, you get people that are students, and when they're much younger, they're just unorganized. You can say, okay, they're younger, schools do try and discipline. You got to keep your backpack, relatively organized. Obviously you have to have your pens and your pencils and your crayons and this and that. Right? Inevitably, what happens? Kids lose some of them. Lose some of the crayons, they break them. Okay. But they're constantly being taught to be prepared. Now, some will be better prepared later, some less prepared. And what happens is, if you're not in control, what can happen is you just keep doing the same thing over again. In other words, you're unorganized in 5th grade and you're unorganized later. It's just what happens. You never get over the hump. So again, it takes preparation. It takes effort. And for some people, it's just too hard. They have messy rooms, they have messy backpacks, they're just, they need to be organized. Now, that's something a person can learn. That's not out of the realm of reality. Because the person's not organized now doesn't mean later they won't be. Might be something you have to learn. Okay, so you have to learn it. But it shouldn't take forever to learn. But it's annoying, I would agree, if you're making the same mistakes over and over again. That has to stop. So if it's with bad character traits, we'll say in spiritual terms. If it's bad character traits, break it down. Why are you upset at this? Why does this bother you? Why, fill in the blank. First of all, what I have to work on. Which we have plenty, everyone's got plenty more to work on. So you take one character trait. You want to try and work on, okay. Right? So let's say anger, right? We're speaking about anger. So now, what are the things that get you angry? This gets me angry, that gets me angry. You have a list, 20 things, easy. Right? We get angry relatively easy, unfortunately. So this is what the Mishnah is telling you not to. But let's say that's one of your issues. So if it's one of your issues, I would tell you, figure out by some of them what triggers it. Why does this bother you? You might see a pattern. You might actually see a pattern, right? So you see, you can knock off a whole bunch of things because you see this thing bothers you like this, and something else, and something else, right? So you gotta get to what's underneath. You have to get to what what's triggering it. Because once you get to what's triggering it, then you can work on ways how to fix it. But you have to know what triggers it. Now, a person will say, "But I've been this way my whole life." Yeah. So plenty of people out there, been Christians their whole lives. They get out of it. We're not talking about being a Hindu, right, or being in a certain caste, or who knows what. And you're stuck there forever, right? That would be pretty bad, right? But the bottom line, is you got to be careful, right? You got to know what's behind what you do. And then the harder part will be, I think this is the easier part. What's the harder part going to be? How do I fix it? That's going to be the harder part. But if you don't make a plan, how to fix it, how are you going to fix it? I'm not even talking about things that are necessarily more painful. Those are harder, because then you got to unravel a whole bunch of things you have to unravel. And this could be going on for a long period of time, right? So if it's going on for a long period of time, what would I say? I say, might need professional help to deal with it, right? So, if it's a lack of preparation, then a lack of preparation can probably, answer up a lot of things. I'm not going to say everything. A lack of preparation could do that. Could potentially do that. Somebody asks, "Will Sarah punish someone when she's mad at Hagar?" No. Why is she not punished? When Sarah sends Hagar out, Abraham's very upset. Right? How could he send out Ishmael and Hagar? He's upset. There's a lot of compassion. There's a lot of mercy for them. What is God saying? God says Sarah knows better than you. Listen to what Sarah says. Listen to what she says. Because she's greater in prophecy. See, this is not apologetics. Because there are women out there, big time feminists. Say, I want to do this, I want to do that. I want to do other things. And they say, we're limited. Okay, we're not going to get in a whole discussion about feminism and Judaism. Right? But over here is clear proof she's greater in prophecy. All right, talk about Avraham, look how great he was, look what he did, and this and that. She's greater than him. Boy, if we wanted to be totally against women, God says explicitly, it's not in the Rashi, it's not in the Ramban, it's not Talmud, it's not Medrash. He says it. God says explicitly, she's greater than you in prophecy. Listen to her. So why should she get punished? Because shortly thereafter, what happens? She sends her out. She absolutely sends her out. And Abraham's angry. Abraham's like, how can you do that? He felt the pain. And God tells him, whatever she says, you do. She's greater than you in prophecy. She knows what she's doing. Yishmael could have died. Obviously, God didn't want him to die. But he could have died. Wouldn't that have been bad? God told Sarah sent her out. She knew Yishmael's bad influence on Yitzhak. Yes. So she sent him out. God say anything's wrong with that? No. Not at all. She has the right. She knows what she's doing. God tells Abraham she's greater than you in prophecy. So listen to what she says. Making her work harder. Not abuse. You tell me she's making, she's making her clean toilets with a toothbrush. I get it. That might be bad. Yeah, making her work harder because it's not forbidden. No one says it's forbidden, but she's not punished for it. She's definitely not punished for it. Yeah, a lot of things here about what's going. How do you deal with stress and pressure at work? That's a good question. Good, good question. So I would say like this. I would say that, there are a lot of things that are stressful in life. What's one of them? What's one of them? Work. Work can be very stressful. So I would say anyone who works, the way to get out of the stress is that there are times where you have to do things for yourself. You have to have your own private time. Life can be hectic. We're running around. We're chasing our tails. We're doing different things. But at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, we have to take care of our needs also. So that means even 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, you have some time to yourself. Be able to read, to listen to something, whatever. In order just to, to take that off. Take this, take the stress off. Some will say, eat something nice. Some will say exercise. I mean, read a nice book. I don't know. A lot of things. A lot of potential things take away stress. There's a lot of stress in the world. Is it more stressful now than it's ever been? I don't know. Every generation has their things. You can imagine living in the 19th century. She was being tossed around like rag dolls all over the place. Had to leave this place, that place, the other place, pogroms and this, right? It's can't imagine. I'm sure that was pretty stressful. Every aspect of life was stressful. That's why a lot of people tried to flee communist Russia. They couldn't live there. Get the KGB or the KGB running, looking over everyone's shoulders. You can't be free. You can't practice your own religion. It's pretty stressful. Yeah, it destroyed thousands of families, physically and spiritually. That people got broken by. Other people stayed very strong, right? Again, how do you stay strong? God's the one in control. That's how you stay strong. He can change anything at any time. Shuas Hashem Ka'erifai. Right? Salvation of God comes at the blink of an eyelid. That's what it is. Right? That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. Now, you need time to unwind also. In other words, let's say there's a lot of stress where you work. You get home, you gotta let it go. You gotta unwind. Now, how do you unwind? Again, there are many different ways. Some people say drink a cup of wine every day, but you don't want to be an alcoholic, right? Some people say exercise. Some people say, just get it out of your mind. Take it home with you. Right? But you have to do things for yourself. Things that you enjoy. Even if a person, let's say, what do they enjoy? Takes their mind off things. Sudoku. Crossword puzzle, I think it's a waste of time, but let's say that takes away stress. And some people will binge eat because of it. That's not good. They take it away in a positive way. I don't imagine what's going on, but I'm worried. It's worry that's causing people to not want to be around me. I don't know. Depends how strong the worry is. I would say this, I was just reading something earlier, but Marabi said, and talking about what's going on, and he was saying it's not just okay, we're feeling the threat directly, right? Got missiles and this and that going on, okay. Outside of Israel, I mean, I would think it's pretty scary, right? Universities, all these places having all these demonstrations. Hitler never finished the job. Let's kill the Jews. All this. It's not 1939. That's a mind-boggling thing. Anti-Semitism's never been dead, and it won't be dead until the Messiah comes. There are times it's stronger, times it's not. This is a pretty intense time right now. According to everybody, no question. All over the world. It's just, we're feeling the brunt of it because of, what's going on. Can that spill over to other places? Oh, absolutely. Can there be terror attacks everywhere? Sure. It's a scary time. It's a very scary time. So what gets us through it? What gets us through it? The mantra is God's in charge. God 100% is in charge. I tell people all the time. Everyone, family members I'm in contact with, they're like, going to Jerusalem, like, how could you do this and do that? And let's say, even where I learn in the morning, let's say there's a siren. Let's say a siren goes off. I haven't had a siren since I've been back to learn, but let's say, or where I live, okay, you're gonna run into a shelter, into a sealed room. You might hear, a boom, maybe it was very close and this and that. But at the end of the day, it's so miraculous, not even funny. How many of these rockets actually hit something? Now, there was a case in Tel Aviv, people got hurt, hit the top of a building, right? Other places have been, hit, there have been direct hits, right? Even closer by, there should be a lot more. There should be a lot, there should be tons, God forbid, casualties, buildings being hit. I mean, it's one or two things I always say. It's either you get the stupidest people shooting the rockets, a lot of them misfire, it's also true, do damage in their own place. And a lot of them hit nothing. Now, the odds of you getting hit, I'm just talking about here in Israel, even if you're close by, a kilometer away, you got 15 seconds getting a sealed room, okay? Can things get hit? Yeah. But what do we see? We see miracle after miracle. A lot of missiles being sent, they don't hit anything. Now, the booms are scary, especially if they're pretty close. Now, I live 70 kilometers, right? Maybe 35, 40 miles, to Gaza, about an hour away, hour and change, right? All the way down south. Israel's not that big. Someone was saying right after Shabbat, there are all these booms. I also heard booms. Yeah, they're pounding Gaza. You feel the vibration. Even 40 kilometers away. It's mind-boggling. 70 kilometers away. And if you're closer, yeah, it's a scary thing. It's definitely a scary thing. I don't think there's any question. But at the end of the day, what are the odds, even if you're a siren, what are the odds? Your building's going to get hit. Or wherever you are, you're going to get hit. What are the odds? Very slim. It's absolutely miraculous. No, there's nothing else to say. It's more dangerous to be in a car in this country. There are a lot of people being killed in terrorist attacks. Okay. There are people that have been wounded, severely wounded by these rockets. Okay. It's not the majority. And the majority of these things hit nothing, right? So the only other option is something else is taking these missiles out. Right? You got the Patriots taking a lot of these missiles out, true. But even the remaining ones, the 5,000 rockets that day there was this massacre 2 weeks ago. 5,000 rockets. How many direct hits? Very few. Very few. So you don't want to be the one to say, well, it's never going to hit, so I'll take my chances. You don't take chances. It's a dangerous situation. But the odds of something happening is still pretty slim, but it's scary anyway. Scary anyway. So, being worried doesn't help. Doesn't help. This generation, before the Messiah comes, what is the biggest test? What is going to be the biggest test in this generation? The biggest test in this generation is going to be Emunah. Emunah B'tachon. Right? Our faith and belief in God. That's what it's going to be. Right? That's what it's going to be. It's going to be Emunah B'tachon. Why? Because we're going to see all kinds of craziness, all kinds of things. We're going to say, like, what's going on? How is it possible? How in the world is it possible? Yeah, we got to hold on to our Emunah B'tachon like that's all we have. Because everything else going on in the world, especially here, God's the one in charge. He 100% is the one in charge here. There's no question. So we have to rely on him. Am I going to walk out my door and say, well, woe to me? Yeah. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be stupid either. You have to be smart. Because you don't know what could happen. Okay. But the problem is, what is worry now? See, I'll tell you, the Gemara says there's a contradiction, two different places about being afraid. One place it says you're allowed to be afraid, one place says you're not allowed to be afraid. What does it say you're allowed to be afraid of? Not terrorist attack, not missiles, not enemies. That's all we're allowed to be afraid of. What are we allowed to be afraid of if you forget the Torah that you learned? Imagine. The only thing you're allowed to be afraid of. Now, does that mean I can take chances? No. I'm not allowed to take chances. I'm not allowed to put my life in danger. But where we are, it's the best place to be. It's going to be the safest place to be. And you just see it over and over again. Again, it's tragic how many people have been killed, true. And how many more people, God forbid, will die. But at the end of the day, compared to other places in the world, much safer. Still much safer. Because I always say, we know who the enemy is. You have no idea what's going to happen. You can say, oh, if I hear someone, speaking Arabic, run away from them. You don't know. Anything can happen anywhere. Right? A person can get knifed and killed for their shoes, for their backpack. Who knows what? It's a crazy world. We live in a crazy world. God wants you to live your life the way he wants. He wants you to be strong in your belief in him. That everything's for the good, even if we don't understand it. You say, what could be good out of this? Messiah comes. That's what could be good. If we survive it. Yeah, that would be good. You're going to say it's going to get a lot worse. A lot of people may have to die. You're right. In that final war, a third of the world gets destroyed. A third of the world. I mean, it's a major bloodbath here. Major bloodbath. Take 8 months to bury people. 8 months. If each month is 30 days, give or take, it's 240 days constantly, every single day, burying people. Tens of thousands, millions of people. If they don't get nuked. If they don't just vanish. A mind-boggling idea. Now, could this lead to it? It could. In theory. Could happen a number of different ways. Okay. Will it? I'm not a prophet. I'm not the son of a prophet. There are different scenarios here. Okay, let's see. Let's see what's going to be. God doesn't want you to be afraid. Again, are you allowed to be afraid because you might forget Torah? Yeah, that's what you're allowed to be afraid of. You don't put yourself in danger. That's being a fool. Nobody's going to put themselves in danger. Right? You can say, I can walk out and anything could happen. You're right. Anything could happen. And I just stay in bed with the head, with the cover over my head. What should I do? We live in a dangerous world. It's what it is. Some places more dangerous than others. Okay. But the reality is, where I live, and in religious neighborhoods, I can go out 10, 11 o'clock at night, even later. I'm not worried. I'm going to get mugged or anything's going to happen. We're safe. Jewish neighborhood got thieves. Got people killing each other. No. Listen, you can have that with, people don't keep Torah mitzvahs. Okay. You can have that type of crime. Not in religious areas. You're never going to have it. I wouldn't keep my door unlocked. But still, you're not going to have it. That's not what we do. And if a person is an Orthodox Jew, it'll never happen. Should never happen. I never lived in a neighborhood like, there was crime. And if there was, and there were break-ins, it was by Arabs or secular Jews. Usually Arabs. They're the ones causing most of the crime. A lot of the crime. There are Jews also, but mostly Arabs. It's what it is. That's the reality. That's not being racist. There's a reality. People here in Israel know that's the reality. Yeah. Now, if I lived in any other city, in the States or a suburb or whatever, would I be going out when my kids go out late at night unless I'm with them and this and that? Never. Why? It's dangerous. Most American cities, you gotta be kidding. 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, you gotta go out. Most people are not gonna do it. I'm just talking about what's going on now. It's just dangerous. Yeah. So here, okay, so you got the Arabs, you got problems with them. Fine. But you know who the enemy is. You live in a religious area, you don't have that problem. I have to worry about where I'm going 9 o'clock at night. Why do I have to worry? No crime. There's no crime. Yeah, I would say outside of Israel, different cities and this and that, it's dangerous. Yeah. So you got to be careful. But God doesn't want you to be so frail you can't do anything. He doesn't want you to be, he's the one in charge. You're going to say, well, if I go out at night, I'm taking my chances. Depends how dangerous it is. Yeah. Going out 7, 8 o'clock at night, is that dangerous? Could be it. Could not be. That's not called suicide. Could something happen? Anything can happen. Right? But God does not want you to be afraid, walking around in fear. That's exactly what he doesn't want. So this is a test. This is a huge test. Yeah, because the whole world is a powder keg. But we got to do what we got to do. That's the bottom line. Let me see here. One second here. Yeah, I see the questions here. One second. Someone mentioned that Terach died in Haran, and then Abraham left. He died. Abraham was going to leave anyway. He died before, but the question was, if he would have left before he died, would have looked bad, right? That's why people are claiming, it's going to be a desecration of God's name, right? If he does leave, he did die before. That's okay, right? That's fine. But if he would have left before, right? If he would have left before, it would have looked really bad. So they're saying, how could he have left? How could he have left? Right? Avram continued. He stayed back. So they say, how could he have left him? He died after he left, not before. Right? Let's make that clear. Right? Set it backwards. He died before. He died after. So they're saying, how could he leave him? How in the world can he leave him? And what's the answer? Because God told him to leave. Can't worry about what other people are going to say. That is not a desecration of God's name. Right? And that's a mistake people make And they go, I said this, I did that, it's desecration of God's name. No, you answer what the Torah says. They didn't like it. They blaspheme against it. They say negative things. That's not desecration of God's name for you. Not at all. You answer what the Torah says. How can that be desecration of God's name? You did what the Torah says. Oh, people don't like it. They make fun of it. But tell them to go eat kugel. Who cares? I care what they think. I should really care what they think. You gotta say, wow, you got a big ego. And nothing to do with ego. We believe the Torah is true. If we believe the Torah is true, well, I care what someone says. Okay, I care less. I care less what the Torah says. Sorry, not what other people say. I got an obligation to stick up for the Torah, period. They don't like it, okay. Right? That's why that's not a desecration of God's name over here. Not at all. But people say this and say that and the other. You're right. So what? That has nothing to do with desecration of God's name. Did Avram feel? Right, another question here. Right, another question here is, did Avram feel like a stranger in his place before Hashem called him? Interesting question. In other words, Avram felt what he's doing is the right thing. He's bringing people closer to the Torah. He's bringing people closer to mitzvahs. So that was the whole world. The whole world was against. That's why it's called Avraham Ivri, not Abraham the Jew. It wasn't Jewish yet. Even the Gemara says that except the Torah before it was given, that has to be understood, but it wasn't Jewish yet. So if he's not Jewish yet, why is it called Avraham Ivri? The word Aver, Ayin Beis Rage, means he's like on the other side. So it's like Abraham on one side of the world, everyone else against. It doesn't matter where it would have gone, it would have been the same. And he would have to do the same thing wherever he goes, trying to bring people closer in Torah mitzvahs. Yeah. Unless he's living amongst people that are like-minded. Look at all these people that came close to Torah mitzvahs through him. So most likely in all these communities, of what we'll call Noahides that are keeping Torah mitzvahs, whatever they have to do. That must have made him feel good. But what about everyone else? Okay. I would say the closest thing we feel to be comfortable, in this world is the Jew lives in the land of Israel. Because if you live outside the land, even in the Jewish community, you still feel like you don't belong. Because you're doing stuff that no one else is doing. It's like you're going against the tide, so to speak. Now, someone will tell me here in Israel, isn't it like 85% of the people aren't really religious? Right. But see, the religious live in religious communities, right? You have to deal with secular people. Okay, different places, very good. Doesn't matter. Point is, we live amongst Torah. So therefore, there's a tremendous sense of belonging. There's a tremendous sense of, this is where we are. This is where we should be. This is what we should be doing. There are places in the world, a person can feel it to a certain extent. Right? Let's say like Lakewood, New Jersey, let's say places in New York. There are a few places like that. But at the end of the day, it's still not Israel. Right? It's not even close. But I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I mean, listen, if you can shut out the whole rest of the world, you live in your own community and this and that, you don't have to do that much with everybody else. Very good. So you live in your own enclave. That's huge. That makes it easy to keep Torah mitzvahs. I don't think there's any question. Right? I don't think there's any question. Right? So if he's around people that are like him or more like him, very good. Yeah, they'll probably make him feel stronger. I would think they'll make him feel stronger. Okay. And right? It'd have to be in a place where everyone's doing like him, or a great majority. But think about it. The entire world was idolatrous before he came onto the scene. Even before God spoke to him. Everybody was idolatrous, right? So he lived in a place of, let's say, 10,000 people, right? And 9,990 are idolaters. Of course, they're going to feel out of place. Yeah. A lot of those he draws closer. So now let's say it's half and half. Will we feel more comfortable? Probably. But again, he probably still feel out of place to, to a certain extent. But that's the whole test. Here he's very successful. God could have sent him to Pago. He could have sent him anywhere. Doesn't speak the language, doesn't know the mentality of people. What's going to be with his business? Drawing people closer to God. Yeah, that was a test. That essentially was a test. If someone asks in Parashat Lech Lecha, yeah, imagine someone with Abraham who was a priest of Hashem. Were there always people who were chosen to serve God outside of those written about in the Torah? Good question. Yeah, priest of Hashem, that was Melchizedek. Who was Melchizedek? That was Shem, son of Noah. But you see, even by Moses, his father-in-law was the what do you call it? Was the priest of Midian. There wasn't any idol he never worshipped. So then he finally came to the Jewish people, right? And he actually converted. So the whole question, did he come before the giving the Torah, after giving the Torah, right? The whole discussion the Talmud has. But regardless over here, you see there are other people that were priests in their own place. I mean, you got priests for Baal, for idolatry, you got priests for other things, but priests of Jewish people, we have more or less in one place. You have these other people totally misguided, but for idolatry, sure, you had priests for them. Yeah, no question. Right? No question. Right? But you're asking, did they serve? Oh, so I'm talking about idolatry. So you're asking, were there people chosen to serve God outside what's written about them? So there are certain people. The Torah makes some cryptic statements, doesn't necessarily tell us, right? But we do know that there are some people like that. Yeah, there are some people like that. You have who am I thinking of? You had Enosh, let's say, walk with God. Right? Some people taking a little bit early because of other things that were going on. But you have people, even though Torah doesn't necessarily say explicitly, right? It doesn't necessarily explicitly, but it, whatever. Midrashim speak about it, right? Other sources, speak about it. But yeah, when the Torah doesn't say it, then obviously it's not significant. So whatever the Torah mentioned about people serving God in, say different places, okay, that's what we have. But that doesn't really mention too many. Guess I'll go. They're talking about people working in a work environment or people that curse. Yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem I hear a lot, that, people speak Lashon Hara, people curse, different things, whatever it may be. So yeah, that's kind of, and if they say something, it's not like you transgressed, but you heard it, right? So at least a person should say, thank God I'm not like that. Thank God, I don't do that or whatever, so you should be thankful for that. But at the same time, at the same time, people speak Lashon Hara, you got to be very careful. You got to be very careful, not allowed to believe it. You're allowed to guard yourself against it. If it's something that could affect you, but otherwise you're not really allowed to believe it. They're going to say, but I heard it. Why did I hear it? So I can't answer that. Why'd you hear it? It could be 50,000 different reasons why a person, had to hear Lashon Hara. Okay, but you have to get that out of your head. You got to work very hard to say, you can't believe it 100%. See, these are hard questions because people ask all the time, why do I have to go through this? Why do I have to go through that? And the answer is we don't know. Could it be something you did to deserve it? Yeah, maybe. Maybe, but there are a lot of things we're not in control. We're totally not in control. So these things could also be part of a person's test. Person works somewhere, let's say. You got a problem with language, you got a problem with other things. People speak Lashon Hara, which is a common problem. And what do you have? You have people that are trans, right? You got people that are gay or whatever it is. So that's also a test. That's also a huge test. Because then you can't say anything against them. You can get fired. It's crazy. So you say, why do I have that test? Who knows? People have all kinds of tests. And each one has different tests. Some people have similar, some people don't. Some people have tests with health. Some people have tests with family. Some people have tests with both. Some people have tests with, parnasa, livelihood. A million different things we're tested with. And each one can be tested with the same things, similar things, or whatever, right? But what's the point of them? To test us. Are we going to get angry? Are we going to yell and scream? Are we going to, are we going to be politically correct? Are we not going to rebuke when we need to, even if someone doesn't listen? Yeah, a lot of questions here. Why did someone get that test and not another test? Can't answer them. Right? Can't answer them. Could be the source of your soul. That's what your soul has to go through. Could be other reasons. Right? But they're all tests. Some have it easier, some have it more difficult. But these things are annoying. So the question is how you deal with them. That's a different issue. That's a different issue. But why you have it? Everybody has tests. Right? Everybody has tests. Certainly has. Very good. I wonder if Amish kids curse. I don't know. Good question. Come on, you think the Amish are perfect? Yeah, it's funny in a certain way. At a certain age, by the Amish, they let their kids for a year, like a gap year. I don't think 18, 19, whatever it is. They let them go out to the world and do whatever they want. Do whatever they want. For a year. It's like a huge test. You tell them they can't do this, can't do that, do the other thing. Then you give them a year to just do whatever. Right? So they say a lot of them, quote unquote, see the outside world. And they're very happy being Amish. I would think some of them probably just go way off the deep end. Right? Because now that they're allowed to do whatever they want. Right? But it's like sticking candy in front of someone and say, come on, let me test you with this, let me test you with that. Right? They're gonna fit, how are they gonna do it? How are they gonna stay pure being in that impure environment? Yeah. Because they understand. They understand if they've been indoctrinated or if they've been taught their whole lives about certain things, what to watch out for and this and that. They throw them into the world. If they taught them properly, let's say, they're not going to go that far astray. They're going to see what the world is, they'll come back. Yeah. Well, we would never do that because the world is a very powerful place. The secular world is very powerful. Very, very powerful. Someone say, come on, if you do this, you do that, what? How can you be tempted by that? Maybe your Torah is not so strong. No, the Torah is strong. We don't tempt ourselves. We do not tempt ourselves because evil inclination is very strong. But if you learned a lot of Torah, can it put down the evil inclination? Yeah, it can, but you don't tempt yourself. We don't go around tempting ourselves. That's bad. That's going to be very bad. Because you'll fail. At some point, you fail. Maybe not at the beginning. You don't open your mouth. You do not want to put yourself in that situation. One other thing I'll mention also about the Amish, just in case people don't know. People think, the Amish are like the greatest people, and they're so quaint and all their customs and this and that. Keep in mind one thing. The Amish, where were they before they came to the States? They're in Germany. Now, they say that the Amish were rabid anti-Semites, and they ran after one of their jobs, a lot of them did, was running after and finding Jews that were hiding in the forest. Most people are not aware how anti-Semitic they were. But not, everyone thinks, oh, the Amish this, the Amish that. Yeah, go back to Amish history. They're ashamed of Torah never mentions. You was teaching others about to say, you're right. There was the yeshiva of shame behavior. And right, you need oral law to flush that out. The Torah doesn't necessarily mention, it's true. Right? There are only a handful of people that Torah mentions in detail. You got Shem, you got Metushalach, you got, some other people. The Torah just sort of mentions the passing. But you need a lot of other material to find out what they did. Right? It's not straightforward. Not straightforward. One second. Was she really angry at her? The Torah says she was. Right? You're talking about Sarah and Hagar. Keep in mind, she was with Avram for 10 years, never had kids. According to nature, she never would have had kids. So she says, okay, I'll use Hagar. Take Hagar, have kids through her. And then Hagar got conceited. She got pregnant straight away. She got conceited, and she said, God shut it between us and whatever. So Abraham said, do whatever you want. You told me to do this. This is what happened. Yeah. Was she angry? She was angry. She was angry. Now, was she punished for the anger? No. She got frustrated. It's understandable. But it doesn't say she was punished for it. Another feminism, I always think females are supposed to support ourselves. Well, the same way a male is supposed to support himself. Right? You're going to find something that's going to support a person. Whatever it is. Yeah. Making a living, not easy for men either. Right? Mankind is cursed for the sin of Adam and Eve. They're cursed. There's no question. Right? So making a living, whether for a man or for a woman, even though a husband has to provide for his wife. Yeah. Today you tell me 2 people need to work. Okay. Right? And if a person's not married, if a guy's not married, a woman's not married, yeah, they still have to support themselves. Right? So how should a woman support herself? Same way a man would. Pick a profession, find something, they can make money or train for it or whatever, whatever it may be. And usually the idea is to try and do something, you can work less, make more money, and do, what do you call it? And learn more Torah. Not always so easy. Definitely not always so easy. But I would say there's no difference between men and women in that sense. Women can't get jobs. Why not? They can do all kinds of things. Doesn't mean they'll make a lot of money, but that's part of the curse. So everyone's got to work. The money's not going to come from heaven, right? You got to work. What should a woman do? I don't know. Whatever you're good at. Person got to find a profession or do other things. Try and put food on the table. It's hard. It's hard across the board, right? Every generation has it. Sometimes easier, sometimes not. Depends what a person does. A person can go into a field. Let's say a person's a social worker. Yeah, social workers don't make a lot of money. They definitely don't make a lot of money. But the person feels that's their knack. That's what they're good at. They want to help others. Very good. But they know they're going to struggle. They just know, right? They study for that. They understand that. Teachers understand that also. That's well, it depends where. But, in general, also struggle, to a certain extent. But if they're passionate about whatever, okay. So you're going to say, but I still have to put bread on the table. You're right. You're right. So you might have to do more than one thing. Right? I've heard people tell me, yeah, I got this job during the day, I got this job at night. Working 2 jobs, 3 jobs, this, that. That's hard. But the Chofetz says in Shar B'tachon, in the gate of faith, says in duties of the heart, you got to stick to what you're good at. Don't go outside what you're good at. And everyone knows what they're good at. Everyone has skills. Everyone knows what good qualities they have, usually. So now, does that mean if a person's talented, let's say a person's tremendously talented in art. Let's say person's talented in art. How many people who are artists today make money in art? Right? Musicians, actors. Actors, I'm not saying it's a good profession, but a lot of people don't make it. They got to do other things. How many times I've heard about actors? Actors, they're waiting on tables doing things, and in order to still try and get, jobs in, movies or sitcoms or who knows what. Right? Yeah, these are hard professions. When I tell someone, let's say pick a hard profession, you have to make sure you have money coming in. Right? That's the name of the game. You want to do that, fine. Do it on the side. Right? But you gotta put bread on the table. It's not always easy. Now, again, person will say, well, for a woman, well, why is that easier for a man? You're going to say, well, it's a man-run world. Don't tell feminists that, but yeah, even if it's true, so what? But, does that mean, every person, whatever they're doing, they're making a lot of money? So someone will say, I just want to make enough money to live. Okay. Right. Then I think most people, if they have enough money to live and they're paying their bills and they're in the positive at the end of the month, they'll be happy until they make more money and then they want more money, whatever. But essentially they're happy. Wouldn't be happy with it. Most Israelis today live in the minus. That's kind of how they survive, in different ways. But I'm saying, it's hard across the board, not just for women. It's hard for men also. Again, but it depends what you do. It depends what you train for. And if you train for something, I know someone who's a lawyer, they make a lot of money as a lawyer. They can tell me because they know, they know how to attract clients, they know how to do this, do that, whatever it is. But, if someone's a lawyer or doctor, doesn't mean you're going to make a ton of money. I mean, you should, in theory, but, if God wants you to make money, you will, no matter what you do. You can do the stupidest things. Imagine the person who invented, a guy invented the pet rock. Anyone who remembers? Guy made a mint. An absolute mint on a stupid thing. Or someone who invented toothpick umbrellas to put in your pina colada. Guy made a mint. Why did he make a mint? Because God wanted him to make a mint. He wanted to have a lot of money. For most people, okay, you get 9 to 5 jobs, you get paid a salary. People live, a lot of people live paycheck to paycheck, some better, some worse. Some people struggle more. But, is any field guaranteed you're going to make money? No. But you got to put your best foot forward anyway, right? You got to do what you're good at because you won't stick at what you're not good at. So if you know it's something, you'll make a lot of money, so then you have to make ends meet somewhere else. But in Duties of Heart, he says, why do you have to stick at what you're good at? Because if you're doing something you don't want to do, first of all, you won't do the job right, and you'll be better. So better to use your skill set to something you're good at. Now, is that a guarantee? It's not a guarantee, but because you're missing the big X factor. The big X factor is God Himself. So just because I'm good at something, and everyone else is doing it, and they make money, no guarantee I'll make money, or I'll make as much. Where does it say Abraham went up from Egypt? He left, right? He left on his way towards Canaan, wherever he went, or he was going down south. Yeah, if he's the same place, maybe he moved. I don't know. I have to check that out. If he went up north, where exactly that's the reference to. What do you do if you oversleep because of lack of sleep during the week? What if you oversleep on Shabbos? Oversleeping on Shabbos, right? What's the problem? The problem is if you sleep too much on Shabbos and can't sleep, then you have trouble sleeping after Shabbos. Yeah, Sunday, Saturday night. So if you're in a place where Sunday's a normal work day, like here in Israel, so that's a problem, right? So then you're going to get less sleep, and it'll compensate for you get less sleep, but you're more well rested, and it's like a vicious cycle. So oversleeping on, you want to sleep a certain amount of time, right? Oversleeping is going to be a problem. If you're going to tell me, Sunday's a normal work day, then yeah, that's going to be an issue. That I understand would be, an issue. It's hard to get up, do a normal job on Sunday when you're tired, right? I get it, right? So, a person's got to be careful not to oversleep. You sleep too much and you can't sleep, Saturday night, then let's say, you work on Sunday, it's harder. I would agree, it's harder. How are they even getting all those things? All the things because they're making themselves. They're using the money. They're using the money that they're being given to build these. They get all kinds of different material to do it. Well, I'll tell you even better. We gave them humanitarian aid, sand and other stuff. What do they use? What do they use it for? What do they use it for? They use it to build underground bunkers. So money, they're not lacking. Money, they got plenty of money from Iran, from Qatar, whatever. They got plenty of money. Plenty of money. What do they use it for? And even in humanitarian aid, some things are obviously not going to the right people. But even Israel allowed, things to go in, they use it against them. Like it's kind of insane. They make rockets out of all kinds of things. They're not like how they smuggle it in. I don't know, wherever they get it from. Wherever they get it, I'm not sure, exactly how it works and where they get all their stuff from, but they don't have a problem. I mean, think about the Lebanon. Hezbollah's got 150,000 missiles. Yeah, but they're getting stuff from other places, from up where they are. That's not a problem. For them, it's not a problem. The question is, if they cut off right now, they're not getting anything. See how much humanitarian aid gets in. But, Egypt's not letting anything in right now. And Israel's not letting anything in. They're trying to suffocate them is what they're trying to do, actually. Bring these cockroaches up, up from their bunkers and just kill them all. But they shouldn't be giving them any aid. It's not, not going to be able to not to do that. They need humanitarian aid. I mean, otherwise the other people, starve to death, right? And that's going to make them look really bad. But they're not, they're not going to stop that. There's no way to stop that. They have to let them, bring in some humanitarian aid, but they have to be careful. They have to be careful what goes in there because a lot of it's not going to go to the right people anyway. So, yeah, it is kind of crazy. When it says one of the good things from this is a lot of people didn't know they were Jewish, but feeling the great pain and makes sense of their feelings. Yeah, it could be. I mean, someone asked me recently, are there more people coming to convert now because of what's going on? Or is there any time when Jews are being attacked, either in Israel or other places, that more people coming to convert? And I said, no, I don't think it's any better time now. I would say just the opposite. Anyone who wants to convert now and they see what's going on and what's going on in the world, it's got to be kind of nuts. No offense, anyone's out here that wants to convert, right? But they're not in a certain way because this is what's going to happen everywhere, essentially. You get these Muslim, minorities all over. I mean, 100,000 people in London, that's kind of scary. That's kind of scary. I'm calling death to the Jews. That's kind of scary, and a person looks like an ultra-Orthodox Jew. Yeah, they're sitting ducks. They could get attacked. Yeah, so are we going to change who we are? We have strong faith in God. He'll take care of our needs. He'll take care of our needs. If I walk in downtown London, 11 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, dressed like an Orthodox Jew, I have to worry someone's come and knife me. Someone's going to attack me because I look like an Orthodox Jew and I got a nice hat and a long coat and all that. I have to worry about it. You're going to say you're a sitting duck. A sitting duck anywhere. So we're secular Jews. Secular, if you look Jewish, they'll knife you. Okay. So what are you going to do now? What if you're a secular Jew? What are you going to change that? How are you going to change your secular? You can't. You can dress the way you dress. They're going to say we're more out there, right? Because we look visibly like Orthodox Jews. So they're going to attack. Again, is that putting my life in danger? If I'm out late at night, different places, maybe, right? If I'm out in broad daylight, does that put my life in danger in general? Shouldn't put my life in danger. And most times, people are not getting knifed and killed like this. It happens. I'm not going to say no, people don't get attacked. People do get attacked. I'm not saying not, right? But, we're not talking about tens of thousands of people here. It happens. I mean, it happens more frequently than it should, okay? Probably a lot of it's not reported, okay? Still. Even if you tell me, let's say, it went up 400%, 300% like in Toronto, 400% anti-Semitic acts. How many are there? 1,000 a year? 2,000? You're going to say there might be a lot not reported. Okay, so what? Still, you're talking about, hundreds of thousands of people that live there. So that's a drop in the bucket. I have to worry someone's going to come and knife me? I'm not worried about it. God, God takes care of business. We believe we have perfect faith. Right? 100% we have perfect faith. So I'm worried. Right? Why in the world should I be worried here? Not worried. Someone One of the things I have to, let's say 2 weeks ago, just during Hashem keeping Shabbos, part of our tikkun process. Let's ask like this. This is a horrific thing that happened. This was a divine decree. Rosh Hashanah, this is going to happen. The wake-up call. Again, could it be the beginning of the Messiah coming? It could be. But it's a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call for us to do tshuva. That's what it is. For us to be better. We got to be better in so many different ways. But my Rebbe always says, I'm not worried about Hezbollah, I'm not worried about Hamas. I'm worried about Orthodox, I'm worried about, Jews in Israel that transgress. That is the worst thing. And if they transgress outside of Israel, it's also bad. But if you're in the palace of the king and you're messing around, that's huge. That brings about God's anger even more. So yeah, a lot of these things are, we don't understand why, but God is preparing us. God's knocking on the door. What does he want? He wants you to be better. He wants you to strive. He wants you to be the best Jew you can be. That's what he wants. And if not, there's a pretty serious payback. Pretty embarrassing also for the IDF. The Israel Defense Force, break them also. Mighty Israel Defense Force got caught here. Major way. Head's going to be rolling for sure. After all said and done. But my Rebbe says one of the reasons this all happens is to break their gaiva, to break their conceitedness. Because, it's all about the power of my hand. It's not about the power of your hand. You need a standing army. Even at the time of King David, you need a standing army. But at the end of the day, it's not the standing army that wins wars. It's a standing army based on the fact that the Jewish people are praying for them and are learning and are doing what they should do, and then God gives them to us. God puts them in our hand. But you need both. You need people learning in order to defend them. That's what you need. It would be a milchemes mitzvah. It would be a mitzvah that is a divine command. The prophet comes and says, we all have to go to war. Every single person has to go to war, and then you go to war. Then everybody goes to war. But, but the success of the Jewish people, even in war, is based on the fact that people are learning in their merit, and they're saying Tehillim, they're saying the book of Psalms, and they're doing whatever they can spiritually to protect them. That's where the protection is. That is where all the protection is. It's not about making calculations, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and whatever. Because we see what goes on. We see how many missiles don't hit anything. That's not according to nature at all. Totally not according to nature. So what's it based on? It's based on the fact that we pray. It's based on the fact that we learn. It's based on the fact we keep Shabbos. That's what it's based on. And when we don't do what we're supposed to do, these things happen. So yeah, major wake-up call. Major wake-up call. Then I had to go learn to change yeshiva. Jacob did. I don't know if Isaac did. I don't think so. I think Jacob did, though. Jacob for sure did 14 years. Right? Did Isaac learn that? I don't think so. I mean, I'll double check that. Is there an equivalent in Jewish group that's equivalent to the Amish? No idea. I don't think so. I don't think so. Listen, the kibbutz, most kibbutzim, here in Israel are not religious, so you can't bring them as a proof. There are people that live in moshavim, that live on places that, they farm their land and all that. That's true. Religious Jews and non-religious Jews, but, that, definitely like that, but, they're totally different in what they believe. I'm talking about religious, people are religious, not religious. But, even in these communities, religious and non-religious, they're using electricity, they're using all kinds of things, right? That the Amish don't. So, I don't think anyone's going to compare it to them. Are there communities that use only solar power electricity? No idea. But what does it matter? What does it matter? We don't care about them, right? We don't care what they say, what they do. They're rabid anti-Semites anyway. Probably, deny Torah as well. So, who cares? Who cares what they use or what they don't use? Right? Kind of irrelevant, I would think. Yeah. Any other questions? Let me see here. Yeah. Any other questions? All right, I'm going to stop here. I do this every Saturday, 2:00 Eastern time, 9:00 Israel time. Next Saturday, we're changing the clocks tonight. So it'll be anyone who doesn't change the clocks, except in America, will be an hour before, like all my classes next week. Anyone who does not change the clocks will be an hour before. Anyone in the States, class stays the same, just be an hour earlier. For me. So anyone has any questions, find me on Facebook at Michael Chaim Kaufman, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism, or orthodoxconversion.com, or Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism on YouTube. There I got videos on Pirke Avos, Ethics of Our Fathers, Q&As, Torah portion of the week, Book of Leviticus chapter 17, controversial issues, or you want to send me an email, rabbichaimkaufman@gmail.com, RBBI, CHAIMCOFFMAN @gmail.com. Wishing everyone a good middle of the day, end of the day, depending where you are.